Greetings all, this is Hairy Nick.
And this, once again, is a less hairy Justin.
We're back. Sorry about the little delay there. We had a pretty hectic time when our state came out of lockdown, and we've just sort of...
We then had Christmases, and
January
always feels like the 13th month anyway.
Indeed.
I find, anyway.
It certainly does. But we're back. We have some more news. It was probably a good timing, actually, to be honest, because the last 2 months we basically had nothing. But AMG, the new custodians of our favourite game, have bestowed upon us news about X-Wing, also Legion and Armada, if you're interested in that as well. Basically, we have these 3 new Ace Packs, or Squadron Packs, or whatever you want to call them, for Scum, Rebel, and Empire. These look to be the last things that FFG designed before they sort of handed the reins over to AMG. Maybe there is something else that we'll see. The dev cycle is quite long, but we don't know, like, internally when the shift happens. So I'm going to guess this is the last thing we actually see officially from FFG.
Yeah, I'm thinking there might be one more, maybe.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
So yes, just a few quick things before we jump into these spoilers. Worlds is now going to be in 2022. They are not planning to do it in 2021 with COVID. They could potentially have a major tournament in the end of the year, but because they can't have the smaller ones leading up to it, realistically over the course of the year, they said, nah, we're just going to go aim for 2022. Makes perfect sense. They've confirmed they're not really going to do any major changes to X-Wing or Legion or Armada. They're pretty happy with the ethos and design direction of the game as it stands. Completely agree.
Which is perfect. So, yep. No 3.0.
Yep. No 3.0.
Not yet.
And no painting your ships. Which I'm very happy to hear about. They're still openly supporting modification and repaints, that kind of stuff. But that was the key thing that I wanted out of this. I didn't want a major reshuffle of anything. If anything, I was thinking, they're going to redesign the formatting on the cards, and they'll have both FFG and AMG cards be legal. Doesn't appear like that's going to be the case based on what we've seen so far, but we'll see. A lot of the FFG staff moved directly over to AMG, so I don't think there's going to be any sort of major design change. They're just basically migrated across all the design and, pretty much going from there. Having said that, 2 of the major 3 X-Wing designers are no longer designing for X-Wing, so we do have to keep an eye on that. But yes, with that out of the way, spoilers. Spoilers. My favourite thing to do on this channel. Let's start off with this Squadron pack for the Rebellion. So first up, we have Phoenix Cell, a pack with 2 A-Wings and a B-Wing. So these paint jobs are all from the Rebels TV show, the A-Wings being the generic Phoenix Squadron pilot, and the B-Wing
They look really good, don't they?
Indeed. Don't believe we've had a green A-Wing in the past. I know I've repainted my own green A-Wings.
I think we've had blues and we've had reds.
Had all kinds of stuff. The B-Wing is the original prototype that appeared in the Rebels TV show.
Looking schmick.
Hera finds it and they need it to blow something up. I forget the exact reasoning behind that, but good episode. Definitely worth watching. It's towards the end of Rebels, which explains why she's got a higher initiative now. Here is the spread. So we have Sabine and Wedge on the A-Wing. Wedge and A-Wing. That's really cool.
And can you imagine if these guys keep their pilot abilities?
Indeed. The little mosquito Sabine in the A-Wing and Wedge just destroying his opponent's dice. I like that. I like that a lot. It feels a lot fairer in an A-Wing, but also Initiative 4, it could be nicely costed. So chuck that in a Jankyard build, whatever. Seems like a really, really awesome little include.
Speaking of Jankyard, I think this could fit very nicely in. Hera Syndulla.
So Initiative 6, while another friendly ship at range 1 to 2 defends or performs an attack, you may transfer one of your focus, evade, or locks to that ship, which is obviously powerful. Now, before we get onto the discussion about how to abuse this, just taking a focus token and then being able to use it on any of your ships is really good. You don't have to really build around this for that to be a powerful ability.
Yeah. Well, not only that, the fact that it's at range 1 and 2, that's quite a big area.
Yeah. If you're flying a little 4-ship Jankyard formation, it's not going to be difficult to keep your ships close enough. If it was range 1, I'd still like it, to be honest, but range 1 to 2, it's obviously powerful. Yeah, look, Initiative 6, my only pause for thought with Jankyard builds in general is this might just be too expensive. It's obviously powerful. It's not a cheap frame. Initiative 6, so we'll see what happens there. It might have a shell there. But thinking about ways to abuse this, the obvious one comes to mind is like Dutch Vander. You can give Hera extra target locks. Oh, also, before we continue, I assume based on the way this reads, you're giving Hera's target locks to other ships, not shedding enemy target locks off.
I read that as well because all 3 of those are now considered green tokens, aren't they?
Yeah, and it says your lock, not a locked. It's kind of weirdly worded. But
also, it's quite interesting that they're also putting the evade token in there as well, because realistically, the only way that she should be able to get an evade token is with Debris Gambit. Is that correct?
Debris Gambit.
I mean, it's still cool.
Jan Oars, I think the crew can give ships... like there are ways to abuse it. Pass around tokens, like use Kyle Katarn on the Hawk to give extra focus tokens. Also, the ability to pass on target locks, very good with the B-Wings configuration. So possibly usable with other B-Wings if that's maybe going to be a thing.
Maybe a 3 of B-Wing build, that'd look pretty cool.
Indeed. Also, just as a piece for like an ace build, this seems kind of interesting. Like imagine if this could be flown along Sunta Fel. Now, I know it can't. Don't freak out in the comments. What I'm saying is, imagine if those pieces existed on the Rebellion. Like this could be the start of the Rebels getting toys like that. Even like flying it alongside Wedge and Jake Farrell. It's not aces in the same sense that...
Wedge in the X-Wing and... Yeah, giving him the option to have target locks or focuses.
Indeed. Having versatility in the way you spend your tokens and making sure that you don't lose your very, very important targets is great. It's very much pushing towards that kind of archetype. I don't think it's quite good enough to sort of compete with the Imperial Ace list, but I like that there is a piece that could do this in a very Rebel way. For the record, no, I don't think they should get an effect like to in the Rebellion. I'm just saying that as a thought experiment. Don't freak out in the comments. Very cool. Very cool pilot design. Let's move down to the Empire.
Speaking of Sunta Fel, some new interceptors, and these look schmick. And there is also a yellow TIE Defender, which I am less schmick about. I'm going to paint it. I'm going to have to paint it. This is the first thing that I'm like, okay, fine. Okay.
For those of you who aren't aware,
AMG.
When we originally talked about Star Wars Squadrons, they revealed paint jobs like this as a pre-order bonus, and it was Justin's favourite design by a wide margin.
It was something. It was...
Indeed.
It just doesn't look that good. I'm sorry.
Just replace it with, like, bright pink. I think that's going to look...
No, like... you actually can get the pink for that on Squadron, so maybe.
I dig that. But I also do agree with you, the Interceptor designer, with like that black stripe going around the cockpit.
Oh, how good.
Very nice. How good. Very nice indeed. So the pilots we have here in front of us, Sienna Ree, Initiative 6 on the Interceptor. We now have 2 Initiative 6 Interceptors. That's a pretty big deal. Gideon Hask, which is actually revealed. We'll talk about that in a second. And Volt, what is this Volt thing? Justin, you know what this is.
Scaris? Volt Scaris. He was actually in Rebels. He was...
the headmaster, the Dumbledore of the Sea Striker Academy.
And he has an amazing mustache. So,
he does have an amazing mustache. Agreed. Just top-notch facial hair, always an important thing to you and I. Let's talk about what's actually been revealed here. Gideon Hask, the Initiative 4 Interceptor, didn't get the spicy Initiative 6, but that's okay. This is actually kind of interesting as well.
I don't think he was ever really meant to be like a high initiative. He was a brute.
I agree, and I like this ability on Initiative 4. While you perform an attack against a damaged defender, roll 1 additional attack die. That's just really solid.
This is actually his ability that was also on the normal TIE as well. So it's good that he's just keep going on.
Very solid.
This artwork. Oh, it's so good.
It's gorgeous, isn't it? It's very gorgeous.
Just almost ripped exactly out of the game itself.
This feels like a great filler pilot. Initiative 4 with a nice aggressive ability, like maybe like replacing 2 Academy pilots and just like in an Imperial stuff list, just chuck it in there, mate. I like it a lot. It's just good filler, but obviously everyone's clamoring to know what the Initiative 6 does, so a good ship, but let's move on. Justin, we got more Scum ships. I'm so happy. It's been so long. You finally
got new pilots at least.
Indeed.
And new paint jobs. And
Indeed.
Oh my God, these paint jobs.
Also, neither of these ships have actually been released on the Scum faction in 2nd edition yet, so it's welcome. I don't know if that means we're getting like reprints of the same pilots. We at least know that the pilots that are viewed here on the spread are not from 1.0 or in the conversion pack, so I'm not sure what that means. I assume AMG is planning on releasing the old ships at some point. I know FFG put it on a hiatus for last year, so we'll see what happens. Nevertheless, this image is also a bit smaller and a bit more squinty to look at. AMG in their stream actually made this a lot smaller, unfortunately, which was a bit of a pain. 3 pilots that we don't have revealed pilot cards for just yet.
That was interesting that they've shown this Hawk, but they then showed Kanan Jarrus as the card.
Just before we move on to Kanan Jarrus, if you in the comments know who this is and know the lore behind them, post in the comments below. Let's move on to Kanan, though. Yes, Kanan on the Scum faction. What do you think of this, Justin?
Well, I'm just going to read it out quickly. His ability: while you or a ship in your firing arc defend, you may spend 1 force. If you do, the attacker rolls 1 fewer attack dice. Now, that's similar to his ability on the Ghost, if I'm not mistaken.
You are not mistaken, indeed. I like this a lot in like a big chunky Scum list with like way too many pilots and just like deny.
Like what was it? It was like the 6 Kiraxes and a
Torgalmarks, yeah.
A Hawk. Yeah.
Yeah. Oddly enough, it actually feels like a great ability for Scum as well as Rebel. So I like that. So for those of you who aren't aware, this is actually taken out of the Marvel comic for Kanan Jarrus, or a Rebel comic. I forget which one exactly. And indeed, for those of you who don't know, the original Kanan comic that Marvel produced after Disney took over the license, that was the first time in Disney canon the Hawk appeared. So it's very actually fitting.
I love the colours that they've chosen for this Hawk, and they've literally ripped it right out of the comic and gone for that colour scheme. It looks schmick.
It is gorgeous.
The green engine glow, it just, very happy.
It is gorgeous. Also, a light side user on the Scum, that's a new thing as well, so think of all the light side abilities we could be using with that. I like this as a great support ship. There's not much to say. I just like the idea of putting this in a big chunky Scum list and saying, hey, look at all the targets you have to shoot. Oh, now you have 1 less red dice. That sucks. It's a very it's oddly very Scum. Like it's nice how that kind of fits in. Also, more Y-wing pilots. Very happy to see that as well. I don't think from memory, they had Drea Renthal, like Drealox as a thing in the meta for 2.0, but that's been about it. I actually wouldn't mind seeing more Y-wings on the Rebellion as well. That's not something that we have all that much of. So there's definitely directions we can take this in, but I'm very happy with all the choices for this. But there is one obvious disclusion that leads our first order players to be a little bit salty.
Yeah, still waiting. Still waiting
for
on
a first order squadron pack.
Yeah, it'll be nice when they're obviously saving the best for last. We're just that good.
That's right. It would be pretty good. It'd be pretty good. I mean, more TIE fighter pilots maybe. Maybe they're waiting for like more core ships. Maybe they're waiting for like the Sith TIE, the pointy boy to come out.
The Dorito TIE. Yeah.
Dorito TIE. Yeah, maybe that'll be like 2 Dorito TIEs and all kinds of things. But maybe they want to flesh out the faction more before they do a squadron pack, which would make sense.
We do have the fewest amount of ships at the moment, so yeah,
indeed.
A way to add some more ships in.
Indeed. And these squadron packs actually don't add any more new ships. And honestly, I think that's a good thing. I know I've said this a lot, but I think, especially for the iconic ships, everything here that's been included, it's never a bad thing adding more pilots. What is complicated for the game, what adds a level of complexity, is adding more ships, because it's more things that newer players have to learn. If it's the same ship with a different text box on it, well, guess what? You can learn that during the middle of a game. I don't want to have to learn, say I'm a new player, I don't want to have to learn a new ship mechanic every time I sit down at a table at X-Wing. That adds more complexity. This is fine. I'm more than happy to see more and more of this, and I'm hoping maybe in a couple of years' time we see yet another whole smack of Squadron Packs for every faction again. I'd be more than happy to see that. Oh, there's one thing I forgot from AMG stream that I did mention before. We are now going to get weekly content on their Star Wars IPs. Not necessarily X-Wing from what they said, but this is great.
They were saying Wednesdays and Fridays, I believe?
Indeed. This coming Friday is meant to be Armada, from what they said. So that's really, really cool. That's really, really cool. As we've said before, it doesn't have to be spoilers every time they talk to us, but like talk to us about like painting and strategies and the meta and all that kind of stuff. The stuff we talk about here on the channel. More open communication is always a good thing. It's one of the things that frustrated me about FFG. They didn't really have a lot of open communication when it came just to talking about the game in general.
AMG, we're also going to be talking about a potential co-op for this game as well. This could be really fun. Really great way to bring your friends along, teach them some X-Wing, and continue getting more players into this great game.
We've seen this supported as a format, or a couple of formats outside, made by the community. Heroes of the Aturi Cluster being one of those big ones. Official support for something similar to that would be really awesome. I would dig that.
The only final thing is that all this stuff is coming out on March 26th.
Correct. Yeah. So hopefully this means we're going to see a lot more information. Actually, hang on. We have 3 ace packs coming out in less than 2 months. Articles. Very, very excited. In the comments below, what are you excited for? Obviously, yes, we'll get articles on this very soon. It'll be interesting to see when it shifts over to AMG, what that's going to look like. Much more discussions to come. In the meantime, don't forget to like, subscribe, social media. Bam, 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 down there. Press the little flag icon. For some reason, YouTube cares about that. Also, we have a Discord and a Patreon
the bell
channel
as well.
That's right, ring the little bell. And yes, you can help support the channel through Patreon as well. Links for that down in the description. But in the meantime, me and Justin will catch all of you in the next video.
Bye.
It won't take 2 months this time.